to the June, thank you. I want to welcome you to the June advisory meeting, and first item on the agenda is to approve the May 14th minutes. Dave, do we have a second? Or any corrections or additions? Dave, or Dave and Dave. No corrections or additions. Okay, at this time then we'll vote on the minutes. And I do not have Jerry Foster's. I didn't know he was going to be gone. Does anybody have his proxy? Well, he didn't say anything to me the other night either, so, okay. He may be out in the rain. Not nice. Okay, we're gonna go ahead with golf facility review, if we would, please. Dave, since you're not on the list, go ahead and start.
All right, Kingswood and Branchwood was out there the other day, and as always, everything is neat and clean in the pro shop. Excellent selection of merchandise. I repeat myself every month, but that is the case. And the guys and girls that are having you check in, great attitude always, so it's excellent. Golf carts, easy access, they're all neat and clean, ready to go. Overall, the course I think is in really good shape with all the rain and everything we've had. The fairways are pretty darn lush for this time of year already, and the greens are good. I believe the course is in really good condition, and you got a great restaurant right next to it, so the golf experience there, you just can't beat it.
Okay, any questions for Dave? Okay, go ahead.
Highlands, and of course we're still closed down for right now, but the pro shop looks incredible. Of course the people are always great in there, but got good merchandise, got good sales going. The driving range, it's in good shape as well. The mats are all in good shape. The only thing that I did notice was the holders, the little rubber tee holders. I found one that was actually broke or gone, and then several that were broke. In the mats? Yeah, it holds the tee. Yeah. So if we could take a look at those. Okay.
You reported that?
I just did because they were closed by the time yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, Brad?
Nope,
Okay,
that's it.
Kimberly?
Tenured, of course, you know, it's rained a lot, so I guess a little bit of the action is slowed down, but they're doing good. The robots, there's one that they had it looked at because it was not dropping off properly, so I think that's going to get corrected and it'll be fine. They're still learning, the robots are. There's occasionally, say, if there's a pool of balls over here, it doesn't know to go directly to that pool of balls to pick up its program to do what it's doing. The bar is doing well. There's a Callaway fitting event coming up June 27th out there. I was told to ask about that. And outside of that, I think there was a question of the simulator, whether or not it's calibrated properly. And I don't know because I have not used the simulator. So I don't know what that means for sure.
Yeah, I think it should be professionally calibrated. It's, you know, it's just GPS, it's just picking up the radar signal, so yeah. It should be good, but I'll look into it and just make sure that everything's on the up and up.
Someone said they didn't think the drives were going as far as they're supposed to.
Well, I can guarantee that,
that should
but
be my problem too. I'm just saying.
It's probably fine. We'll take another look at it.
They put in a sea level almost. Sea level's not right.
Oh, there you go. That could be. You never know. The other, the only thing was wondering about the holding the bays and hitting multiple buckets of balls. Some people are not happy about that, but I don't know. I haven't experienced it, so I don't know if there's a limit to the buckets of balls.
That's something we're going to talk about later on in this meeting.
Well, I thought that was coming up.
It's an agenda item, yeah.
Then I think I'm done.
Yeah. Anything else for Kimberly? Jim?
Of the country club, and some of the issues I had last month that Graham and I had talked about, some rocks in the bunkers, some rough patches around the collars. That seems to be taking care of itself. I played Monday. There was still a little bit of debris on the course, but I know they're working on that from the high water. Mowing, I think the rains caused everything to be, I mean, it's really growing, so mowing's probably a little behind. The shop looks great, as always. That's really all I have.
Okay. Anything else for the country club? Okay, Clay.
Okay, Dogwood is the course. played it today. I was supposed to get there Saturday, but it was closed. It took the rain really well. Yeah, the fairways are growing really, really good. They seem to be keeping their fairways a little longer than other places for whatever reason. I like it, but some people wanted it to be a little tighter. The only thing that I have is a reoccurring one, which we've talked about before, but sand on the par threes. So I was the second one to tee off on 16 today. There's no sand there, and there's on the blue tees there were 12 divots that were unrepaired. So some of the par threes were looking good, but 16 looked pretty bad.
Well, I played today too, and we were on one of the par threes, and there were two guys behind us. One had a bucket, and he was walking out throwing up divots. But that does us no good after they leave, because there's no sand there. And that's also two employees doing that. Seems like a waste of manpower to me that we could do that ourselves. Just
we talked about this before. Is the course there, they decided they didn't want to put buckets out because it's an extra hassle with that. But in return, they were manually filling them in. But today it didn't look like it happened. That's all. Everything else is good. The shop's good. The people are good. The carts are good. So overall, it's a good experience.
Okay, so Graham, that will be addressed? You've got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for Clay? Okay, anything else for facilities that we need to be aware of? At this time, okay. Graham, you wanna go ahead?
To start, we've got Scott Hansen here. He's our superintendent over Dogwood and Brittany. He just achieved his Class A status with the GCSAA, and so in order to get that, that's a combination of years of experience and credit hours of continuing education. So I think in Scott's case, was it 50 credit hours? So if it's five hours, you get a 1/10 of a point per hour of class. So it's 50 hours of continued education. So hats off to you, brother. And we appreciate your dedication and certainly you wanting to, embrace and get better. So thank you. So my report, we've gotten over 27 inches of rain since April 1, a lot, and it's not necessarily been any big rain, just consistently raining, and so it's been a challenge. We haven't had a lot of flooding. We've had some cleanup to do, but nothing that I saw like last spring, for instance, where you'd get the pretty major floods coming down Burksdale, Kingswood, Country Club. Haven't seen anything major like that yet. So that's actually been a little bit of a positive, I think. Even despite the amount of rain we've gotten, that we just haven't got the major flood. So I think maybe Kyle's had more issues than anyone. The water coming out of Loch Lomond is, it's kind of a constant flow down that creek, which I don't think I saw that at all last year. So a little bit different, but anyway, I think overall the golf course is in really good shape. Everyone's done a great job. Despite the rain, turf quality is certainly good. It has been good. Even coming out of winter time, we saw good turf, and it's continue to get better as we get near the summertime. So I know the guys are aerifying and fertilizing weak areas on tees, fairways, and rough. Keep trying to, and they're continuing to try to build that Bermuda grass base up. Going back to the Country Club bunkers, we did find on 18 through the edging, the process of us edging the bunker, we've actually gotten beyond that better Billy bunker liner, and so we've got the edge of the bunker is kind of in native soil right now. So what's happening is that these rocks are migrating in, so we're gonna have to kind of rebuild that up, resod it, and then that issue should be fixed at that point. We're gonna have to remove pretty much all the sand in that bunker though to get it back the way it was. So well, the problem is just grass it in, yeah. You guys may have noticed 13 Country Club, we got a large washout there, left side of that back tee, and what's happened there was there's a sewer line, and through some of the flooding we've had, part of that eroded away, and then that sewer line gave away and blew out a lot more of the bank the first time. Another minor flood came through, and it gave away again, exposing our irrigation line, which then blew out more of that bank. And so right now we're dealing with engineering and working hopefully in tandem with the village wastewater folks to come up with a solution there. And we've also got a plan B that we're also looking at there, but we're not really in a position right now, I don't think, to discuss that. But anyways, we are working on that, just so you guys know. Scottsdale Brittany Greens, we aerated those on May 27th and 28th. I've talked about this maybe a few meetings ago, but ISTRIC testing and why we decide to aerify with bigger tines, smaller tines, whatever we may do is all based on the results we're getting from the soil testing we do to determine, are we accumulating more organic material than we're removing in a given year. So what we found on Scottsdale was that we actually needed to probably aerate 3 times this summer because we're accumulating a little bit more than we removed last year. So with 2 aerations. So I know Kyle went a little bit more aggressive on this one in comparison to what he did last year. And so maybe that's why we're a little bit slower to get really good back there, but still yet we needed to do that to kind of manage the organic material we've been accumulating there. So that may be something we need to look at next year on Scottsdale, though, potentially adding in a 3rd aerification event on greens. We're still working on the green speed trueness, smoothness, working on that consistency on our green surfaces. Again, with the rain, if you get a bunch of rain and we can't necessarily get out there and roll the greens and mow the greens exactly like we would like to because of these rainfall events, that's probably led to some of the inconsistency you guys have seen. We've been pulling our data at least 3 times a week. We've been seeing a nice trend, but there certainly hasn't been probably the consistency that we'd like to see, and we've heard some comments about that. But again, with consistency in our weather, I know that we'll be able to produce the consistent day in and day out conditions that you guys would like. Last month we talked about the Scottsdale driving range tee. Got pricing to regrade and resod that, and also construct a 16-foot by 100-foot long concrete pad and installing mats and dividers there. That whole project, priced that out to, I think it was $32,800, and so that's a little bit more than we can do this year. So we're going to budget for that in 2026, and if that's approved, we'll look at completing that in the spring. So that would be kind of a full renovation back there, and then have the mats that would be year-round play for the folks that are practicing up there. So we've got tee and collar aerification scheduled the week of June 23rd to June 26th. That'll be 1 golf course per day, starting on Dogwood, moving to Kingswood Country Club, and then finishing on Scottsdale. Each course will be closed for the day to complete that work. We've got 2 of those scheduled this summer. So we're going to do tees and collars twice on each golf course, and kind of taking Kyle's lead. We've seen really nice results where he's been doing that, and we did it once last year on all the golf courses and saw some nice results as well. So we're going to expand on that, take it to 2 per golf course, and expect great results from that. The Highlands oyster grass, continue to see progress. You can see on their pictures, from last month to this month, it's actually quite a bit of progress. However, we haven't had ideal conditions for growth. We had the board meeting yesterday. If you want to talk about that, Tom, yeah.
So we did our annual board tour where we hit every single facility, every golf course, every fitness facility, every restaurant, everything. It makes for a long day. In touring Highlands, it's clear that Mother Nature has not cooperated with us. I mean, it's raining again right now as I speak, and we've had an unusual amount of rain, and we need a lot of hot weather, a lot of summer weather for it to come in. So we made the determination yesterday that we're going to give Greg and Graham an additional month, because I would much rather give it a month extra month, and if it's going really well, we can always open up early. But what we don't want to do is have our members go out on August 1st and the conditions are not what they're expecting, and then they get upset with us. I'd much rather delay it a month, and we just need that. This is not panic mode. We're not panicking. They just need an extra month. So it's working. We're pleased with the progress they've made. We're very pleased with the job that the crew has done, and the job that Graham and Greg have done. We're very pleased. So this is not panic mode. This is, we need an additional month because the weather has not cooperated. So we made that determination yesterday, and so we wanted to go to the golf committee as quickly as possible. I called Ruth last night to let her know what we're gonna do, and she only yelled at me a couple minutes, so I was really pleased with that.
You should be.
But want to let the committee know and the community know of the decision that we've made, not taken lightly, but we were fortunate we had the bulk of the board out there, and they all unanimously agreed, and so we're going to give the guys an additional month, and we'll reevaluate as we get closer. Any questions?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's the right thing to do if you get a month. Even if you need 2 months, I would support that, because it's better to come out with good service than a shoddy service. So however long it takes, that would be great. The second question I have is...
And we appreciate that support.
Yeah.
About this topic or same topic?
Same topic.
Okay.
On the conditions, the growing conditions we've had this year and all the rain we've had, I've noticed on some of the fairways, there's really some really good growth coming in, and other areas it's just like it's dirt yet. And I'm just wondering, like on number 12 coming into the green, the downhill slide, I mean, it's like it's been washed out. I mean, there's very little growth there. It's mostly dirt and sand.
Yeah.
Where at the top of the fairway, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if the plan is to, I mean, did we lose the sod that we put down, or are we going to do something tip it, or are we going to seed it, or?
So if you remember 18 last year,
Yeah.
we had some small areas, we had the sod, right? It wasn't perfect. And so there's likely to be some amount of sod.
Okay,
That's a good example there. That low, right in front of 12 green, where we did have some pretty good water movement.
Well, the water just washes it out. There's some pieces on 13 behind my house where, I mean, there's rivers going down the lanes. I'm just assuming we lost a lot of that sod that we put in.
Yeah.
And the last thing I have a question is, we've got a lot of major activities going on in September at Highlands, court tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a backup plan as far as where we're going to play the AJGA state tournament, the districts and so forth?
The uncomfortable thing is Daryl's on vacation and I can't reach him. So we're making this decision, and Alex is extremely qualified, but I feel uncomfortable with Daryl not being here. But that being said, I mean, we could always have a situation for the AJGA, which is at the end of August. We could potentially open for just a few days, have the event, and then close back up again. Wouldn't be ideal, but it's something we could do. I would rather answer that question at next month's meeting when Daryl is here. And you referenced September. We're not talking about September yet. Well, we're just saying instead of the 1st of August, we're talking about the end of August. So we're not talking about that yet. So I don't want to go too far.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's some thought given to a backup plan, because taking the AJGA out of that course with not very good conditions, I don't think it will look good for us as a golf organization. And possibly we could, as an idea, next month you could look at moving up the country club to satisfy the play. But it's, as long as it's in play, as far as looking at an option, that's on.
Fortunately, it's at the end of the month. So
end of August.
End of August.
Oh,
so fortunately, it's the end of August. If it was the 1st of August, I think we'd be sweating. But it's the end of August, so we're optimistic right now.
Well, there's a point of reference to last year when we did 18, we planted the grass right around now, right? Mid-June. That's when we planted the grass. We opened that fairway on 18 for the AJGA end of August. I think with our progress at this point, I think it would be, I don't know what would have to happen, but I also, don't want to, I would just say, I would think it's pretty unlikely, but, we'll see.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, from
also
where
the
we're
bad
at.
spots that have to be in consideration of making it a nice playable.
We knew there was gonna be a little bit of sod work. Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, the call that Tom gave last night was just an information that he was gonna talk about this today. This is not a golf committee decision. This is strictly a board and management decision. He's just informing us that this is what's going to happen, and hopefully we have our support in doing so. Okay?
Well, I'd just like to add, first of all, Graham, to you and to all your staff at all the courses. We've had how much, 27 inches of rain since April?
Sure.
And the fact that these courses are in the condition they're in is a testimony to the hard work you and your staff are doing, and we appreciate it. They're in better shape now than they were at this time last year, by far. And that's with 27 inches of rain. So you've been fighting the elements, your crews have been fighting the elements, and we just hats off to you. So thanks for all the work that you're doing. I also support what the board has decided. I'm with Gary on this too, that, I would rather just wait until we're sure that that's ready to go. Because I do think that there would be some members who would complain if it wasn't perfect, right? They're expecting Augusta National, and we're gonna do the best we can and with the elements that we've had to deal with. And I think it's smart to wait. And I know you already are going to do this, but I strongly support Carts on Path at Highlands for the rest of this year and as far as we need to next year to make sure that we don't lose those fairways at some point.
And then the last thing I had was just, we did the 2 tees at Highlands as well, and you can kind of see some nice progress there. We planted this May 6th, so just a little over 30 days, and we're seeing a whole lot of green grass coming up on those tees. Excited about that. That's a different cultivar. We have been watching for a little bit over a year now and are excited about that one too. Again, this is the one that grows in faster. Maybe not as fast as Bermuda grass, but a lot closer than the Meyer. So this is a different surface we are growing. However, something that we want to evaluate too. So looking good over there. Any questions?
Anything else for Graham?
I would just like to say I totally support too what you're gonna do at Scottsdale with the driving range. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's because that area where we drive from and the driving range is in the shade a lot. That grass is always thin, and I think it's gonna help a ton to have mats there. And it will keep that open year round or whatever, we can do that instead of having to shut that range down. I think that's money well spent, and I would urge the board to approve that for next year's budget.
Jim?
Yeah, I did have a question about that. The quoted price, is that also for new mats?
Yes.
Okay.
Mats, dividers,
Okay.
the whole.
And 16 feet, that seems pretty wide, but
So that's deep. So we wanted to make
Right.
sure we didn't get into a situation like we kind of got it tenured where we don't have a concrete area for someone to walk. We did 16 feet, which gives us
Okay.
a lot of room for 2 people to walk, against each other and still not be worried about getting hit by a golf club or something. So, and it also included a little concrete walkway down to the cul-de-sac as well. So it's going to be completely off of, you'll have a nice walk right up to the concrete mats. So it'll be a big improvement.
Anything else for Graham?
so that's on you're talking about the back of the range? Or where would you put the mats, towards the back, I'm assuming?
So you've got the current existing
Yeah.
tee, and then there's an area of rough behind that.
Yeah.
And that would be regraded. The tee-top would be regraded, actually enlarged a little bit, and then the concrete mats would be kind of back towards that creek. But, we're gonna grade that off smooth and everything, so.
Okay. Well, Daryl is not here, obviously, but Alex is gonna
All
take over
right,
today.
so I get to give your
Yes.
rounds of golf report here. So May was a good month. Rounds ended at 23,185, which is up a little over 2,500 compared to last May. Member rounds ended at 14,345, up by a little over 2,000 from last May. And guest rounds also up 484, that stood at 8840. Year to date, we're slightly down. We're at 64,514 for the year, and that's down 5,771 over last year. Member rounds down 3,613 over last year, and guest rounds down by just over 2,000. So year to date, just a little bit down. Good May though, even given all the issues that we had with all the rainfall and the Highlands being closed and things of that nature. Range buckets year to date are at 22,912, which is up by a little over 5,000 from May last year. So range is doing pretty well. If you've all been over to Tanyard, then you know that the ranges are doing quite well. And honestly, Highlands, you know, we were completely jammed when Tanyard was closed, but now that Tanyard's open, we've still seen a little uptick in participation in buckets since Tanyard's original closure. Any questions on the rounds report? Okay. I'll dive right into some events. So we've had a little bad luck with a couple of events. The couples mixer was rained out a few weeks ago. We had to make that call kind of early. It came in through the weekend, so that one was just canceled out. We haven't decided on any kind of rescheduling, given all the things that are going on this fall and the course closures and whatnot. So we're kind of looking at all options for a new couples mixer. The three-person scramble, which was scheduled for this past weekend, we had to cancel it, basically just for little participation. I think we only had 14 teams sign up, you know, a lot less than we had hoped for. A little confused about that one. That one's always been a pretty well-attended event, so I'm scratching my head on kind of what happened with that one, but in any case, that was had to be canceled out. Coming up next, we got the Alzheimer's, which is on the 21st, Saturday the 21st at Kingswood. Still some room in it, but sign-up is going pretty well on that one. We've got the Parent-Child Championship on Saturday the 28th at Brittany. That one's going pretty well so far. And of course, we have the 4th of July Friends of Highlands Scramble. That's at Scottsdale this year due to Highlands' closure. Okay. As far as teaching programs go, junior camp started today. I had 49 kids ages 6 to about 14 or 15 running all over the place. So that is absolutely great. I think everybody had a good start to their week, so we're real happy with how that went. Futures Academy things are still rolling. We've got out registration for the Intro to Golf and for the Toddlers and Tots. I think that one is almost full, actually. So those are going pretty well. I talked to Hannah today, still working on getting, you know, an Instagram page for the Futures Academy, still working on getting our website link to work, but that should be coming here fairly soon. She's still working on ambassador programs, and that should be all done as we kind of get through the first season of Futures Academy and see what it's growing into. She's got some ambassador kids that are going to be taking over wearing the logo and putting logos on their bag and all that kind of thing. And Operation 36, we had all summer sessions now started. Summer is usually our slowest for all those events just because we got a lot of, you know, vacations and people out of town asking a lot for an 8-week program kind of in the middle of the summer. So those have been less participation than the spring, and it'll be less participation than it'll be for the fall. So we'll look at maybe doing something different as we kind of keep going through those programs. Any questions on anything for me?
I was talking to Alex, and a lot of girls are joining the groups for sign-ups, young girls. So that's encouraging here to get them going and for the future. So, and I'm not just separating the girls, but we've been short on girls in the past years.
Well, yeah. We out of those 49 kids, I would say at least 30 of them were girls. Good. I had a group of 10 myself. I had 8 girls and 2 boys. Megan has the group of like 8 and 9-year-olds, 10 girls. Good. So we were A little surprised, but yeah, it's a great thing to have.
So if you get the girls in the course, the boys will come.
Exactly, so.
Trust me,
That's a
they will.
fact.
Trust me, they will. Any other for Alex? Okay, Tom.
It's almost that time of year when we start talking about budget and budget recommendations, and we already had one budget recommendation today. But come July 1st, we would like the committee to start working on the recommendations, and if they can get the recommendations back to the management team by the end of August. So you'll have 2 months to work on your recommendations. The board is actually going to be considering the budget calendar. We're actually talking about 2026 already, so they're going to be considering that in the next few weeks. Also, for the assessment campaign, we have 2 additional community information meetings. One is on Monday the 16th at Branchwood at 10 a.m. and the other one is on the 18th at Metfield at 4 p.m. We've tried to select different portions of the community, different times of the day, different days of the week to try and accommodate everybody's varied schedule. So if you can attend, we'd really appreciate it. And that's my report.
Any questions for Tom? If not, we have 2 new board liaisons, Jackie Gain and Bob Brooks. We welcome you. Look forward to having you with us this year. Anything you'd like to visit with us about at this time?
I'll just make a comment that when we did the tour yesterday, obviously about half or more of our time was spent in the pro shops or on the golf course or golf maintenance, and we're just blessed to have the amenities that we have and the staff that we have, so we certainly appreciate everybody. And I'll just comment on number 18 fairway at Highlands. Highlands is not my favorite course, but I was salivating on that fairway because it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. But glad to be liaison this. I learn something every meeting.
I just encourage all of you to go to your golf groups and talk about what they like, what they don't like, what they want to improve, and try and use that information to set priorities for the budget. We need you to tell us what our members want, so we can give Graham all the money we can to work through his superintendents to provide it. So, and twist Tom's arms.
Thank you, welcome. Okay, we have some potential committee members in the audience. Anybody have anything they'd like to say at this time? No? About the superintendents? We're glad to have you here. Thank you. We'll visit with you at a later time. Okay, let's go into old business. Dave Armstrong and Jerry Foster were approved by the board in last month's board meeting for another 3-year term for the JGC. And we have to say goodbye to Gary Mertz at this time, and thank you very much for your participation for the last 6 years. We've had some interesting conversations in that past 6 years, and we will be looking for a new secretary, folks. He said he's not going to do that anymore. And don't call him. So, okay, but we thank you, Gary, and appreciate all you've done for us. So, okay, any other old business that I'm not aware of? Okay, let's move into new business. Dogwood number 13. That seems to be a growing issue. Carts on path. Somebody want to jump in on that? Clay, go ahead.
All right, so hole 13 is kind of down in a hole. It's got trees on both sides, so I don't think it gets as much sun as a lot of the fairways. And it's had problems for the last 5 years, whether it's too much cart traffic or not. It is not a wide fairway, but it's always got problems. And so this year they tried to cordon off half of it, but the cart traffic on the other half just took it out. So the recommendation was made to make it carts on path, at least temporarily. But since it's a very narrow fairway, and we have other examples like at Country Club on number 9, that's been carts on path, and that fairway looks good now. And
Highlands too. Highlands.
You're right. There's a couple at Highlands also. So it would not be an exception. It's really the only fairway at Dogwood that has that problem. So it's cordoned off right now. Dave, I think, heard some complaints today, but the people that I was with, it's like, this is great. This is what we should have done this a long time ago. So that's the background. I think it's a good idea, and I think we should probably talk some more and then vote.
Graham, can I ask your opinion on this?
Yeah, I agree with Clay 100%. It's a very narrow fairway. It's got a lot of shade, and really no way to distribute cart traffic the way you'd like to. Cart path only, I think Scott can probably speak to this, but I think it was done at some point in the past, right? That entire hole. So I think this is kind of revisiting the past in a way, but at the same time, it's going to make a huge improvement. So.
And we've tried it both ways. We've tried it without and narrowed areas, but the cart path has destroyed other areas.
Yeah,
so we're not gaining on that.
Right. Scott's trying to control traffic. Again, something that narrow, you're just moving damage around, really. So.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding it?
Well, I seem to be a magnet for complaints. People like to come to me with those. And I would just say, I think it's a great idea. For me personally, I would much rather have better conditions than the convenience of driving right up to my golf hole. I think it's a good idea, and I think we give it some time and see how much that fairway improves by doing that. And if it improves enough, we maybe make it a permanent policy like we have at number 9 at Country Club and number 2 at Highlands and some of the others. You know, the premium should be on quality golf and quality golf conditions. And again, with that fairway being so narrow, it's not a huge walk and it's a level walk too. It's, like number 9 at Country Club is a little bit uphill and a little more difficult for some people to walk, but 13 at Dogwood is not.
Okay, Jerry asked me earlier if he could make a comment about it, and I said we were going to talk about it later, so we did not bring it up before.
But it'll speed up play too. If you hit in the left third of that fairway, there's no grass to stop it. It's gonna get in that ravine. And if you hit a shot there now, if we have decent grass, it'll save a lot of balls from going down into the concrete waterway and going down where people are looking in there, walking down in that 3-foot step down to get into our washout. So it'll help speed it up, but I think it's a great idea.
If he had made that comment earlier, it wouldn't make sense to most people, so. Thank you, Jerry. Go ahead, Jim.
I agree with what Dave said. I think it's a really good idea, and the guys I played with today, our group, they were all for it. Because you can end up on that left side, you can just in dirt a lot of times. So I think it's a really good idea.
Okay, any other items? Other than a few things that complained to Dave, so. Okay. Okay. Okay, so, all right, at this time, I need a recommendation to make this move. Okay. A second?
A second.
Okay. Jim second. Any comments at this time? Okay, all those in favor of putting carts on path? And as I said, I've not talked to Jerry, so I can't vote for Jerry, so.
He would vote for it.
He'd vote for it. Okay, we decided he'd vote for it, okay. Okay, the other issue that's come up with Tanyard Creek is the process for range balls. Tom, do you want to address that?
Yeah, Dave sent us an email, and I think he's right on the mark. What we're experiencing at Tanyard is some individuals are getting an excessive amount of buckets, 4, 5, 6. I think we had one that was up at 7 buckets, and that's we have the benefit that everybody loves Tanyard Creek. They're all coming out. We're breaking records with how busy we are, and we just want to make sure everybody has an equal chance to come out and enjoy that outstanding facility. So what we'd like to recommend is we limit it to 2 buckets. If a person hits 2 buckets and then leaves for a couple hours and comes back, we're fine with that. But when they pitch a tent and they're there for a couple hours hitting an excessive amount of balls, that's when you're taking up spots from other people. And so we would like the committee to consider this recommendation and taking a vote on it. And we just think 2's very reasonable. It's a reasonable amount of balls, and I think Alex would probably say something about, you start getting into the 3, 4, 5 buckets, you're probably not.
Granted, there's something wrong.
You perhaps need lessons.
Do you see the problem, Alex, at Highlands as well? I know we're experiencing it at Tanyard because it's brand new and it's cool and all that, but are you also seeing a difficulty at Highlands with the range?
Well, we have a lot of people that come out and hit 2 buckets and then come back for a few more. It's not as big a deal with us, is because nobody's waiting for their tee spot. And I think that's what we're running into at Tanyard. It wouldn't be so much of an issue as if there wasn't, people waiting on an open spot. So I think it's totally reasonable to say 2 buckets, take a break, go to the bar, go do something else, and then come back a little bit later and try to get another spot.
Or does it stand to reason to put it in both places?
You could. I mean, I don't think that we would have that much of a problem at Highlands given the lower amount of business that we're seeing.
And they're going to be smart about it.
Yeah.
If it's a slow day, even at Tanyard,
Right.
they're going to be reasonable about it. It's just, when you have someone taking 4 or 5 buckets on a Saturday morning, that's a problem.
How many hitting spots do we have on mats, and do we have more or less on grass?
We have the same number. You pretty much just step forward.
Well, I would, it was my idea, because I've gotten some feedback, when Bob said, talk to your golf groups, and I've been talking to golf groups about Tanyard, and this is like sort of a happy problem because it's so popular. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to date the hot chick, and so so at Tanyard, I mean, it's really a cool place to be and to hit balls, and it's fun to watch the robotic ball picker-uppers and all that kind of stuff. And so I will propose, I'll just go ahead and make this a motion that we limit the number of range balls at Tanyard. I don't think we need to go as far as at Highlands, but I will make it for Tanyard only to 2 buckets per session. And then if they want to come back after a period of time, and there are bays then open, but you can't just sit there and hog a bay for hours and hours, and especially when there are other people waiting. So I would just say we limit it to 2 buckets, and let's see how that goes.
Second.
And this issue came up, with no disrespect to Alex, this issue came up late last week, so I was able to have a conversation with Daryl beforehand, and he was actually the one that suggested the two buckets. So I don't want to. We consulted with Daryl in his absence, and it was his idea. So I don't want anybody to think I was stealing his thunder. So.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one more, just a little one. I know it's hard to get everybody to be looking around and be courteous enough to know that you're taking up that space kind of excessively. Had a couple where, they just leave their bag there and the ball's there and they're going and sitting drinking a little cocktail, and then they're going back to play again. And I don't know, do you give them the stink eye? Do you? I mean, it's hard to ask people to pick up their stuff and leave.
It's really hard to legislate common sense. It's hard to come up with rules to legislate common sense. And we talked about this, and we feel that this will address the majority of the problem. And so if we can address the majority of the problem, I think then that's a success. I don't think we're going to be able to, you have a timer that you hit, you get 45 minutes and you hit the timer, and we're not a bowling alley. And so if we can address the majority of the issue, I think this is reasonable. And I keep on using that same word, reasonable. 2 buckets is reasonable. It should be a reasonable amount of time. But yes, there's gonna be abusers in there, but we're not gonna teach the staff to go get them the stink eye. We're not, you know, but hopefully those people are watching right now and they'll go, hey, oh, you know, maybe I should finish that second bucket and then go grab that beer.
Should we have any signage?
You know what, we have, pretty much every month after one of our committee meetings, we have a request for a new sign, and we have a tremendous number of signs on our facilities, and I don't think people read them. And I think it goes down to the legislating common sense. The person that is inconsiderate is gonna look at that sign and go, oh, they're not, that's not me doing it. You can't legislate common sense. It just doesn't work. And signs, that's what I mean, legislate common sense. You can't create rules. There's just some people that it's just tough.
Before we vote, I'd just like to make a plea then to our members. Be courteous, you know, be courteous to your fellow Vistans, and just understand that everybody wants to be there, and it's a great facility and it's wonderful. And we want you to enjoy it, but we don't want you to hog it. Simple as that.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor, 2 buckets. Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so,
I have a follow-up question. Can you get 2 buckets at one time? The old range, they wouldn't let you use
No,
one
at
time.
tenure, they'll give you 1 each time you come up
Right,
to the
so
counter.
they'll have to
At
come back
Highlands, you
in
can
and
get
get
2,
their
'cause you
second.
gotta walk a little further out.
okay, any other new business that I'm not aware of? Okay, next regular golf meeting is Wednesday, July 9th, right here in the boardroom at 4 o'clock. If there's nothing further, we are adjourned.